Hello, hello. Let's pick it up again. Gonna jam with a Temur Energy deck today. I'll put the deck list in the description when I save this video or upload it. So if you guys want it, you'll find it just below if you're watching this on the replay. And of course, if you join me live, we'll post it at the end. You can always find it if you need it. But the gist is about what you would expect. Generate some energy, make some awesome creatures, do cool stuff. Yeehaw. I've already done 2 videos and 2 other decks today. I'm not sure why, but we're cranking them out because it's my off day and I can do what I want on my off day. Just having a good time, trying to enjoy myself playing some Magic. And right off the top, we might have to be ready to rumble. Get ready, guys. This hand is got the mana we need and 3 threats. A little land heavy, but we need them for 2 of the threats. I think I have to keep it. And we'll see what my opponent is up to. They're looking as blue and black as one can intentionally telegraph. So we're going to see what shenanigans are ready. Well. Certainly seems glory could be brought. Hopefully it's a matchup where it's not absolutely disappointingly terrible. Those matchups are the ones where there are no creatures and lots of counter spells. Okay, opponent says go. I guess if there's a sensor, I could play around it because I could try to get him to cycle it because I don't have a 3-drop and I'm not going to do anything next turn anyway. So yeah, I think we'll just play around it. I don't have anything else to do next turn. I could draw it, but bank on that? I'm not banking on that. And if it's not a sensor, it might be a fatal push. Either way, it's going to die. Let's just try to time it well. Liliana. Yay. Gotta love that. Let's just start ticking up, shall we? And now if the opponent just has like 7 counter spells, the game's already over. But that's the breaks. I guess I'll hide the blue mana for 1 more turn. They don't need to know. They don't need to know. A shocking decision. Okay, we're tapping out. I can dig that. I mean, Kalitas is a pain when you can't kill it. If we were on the play, this would be a very different game. But we'll put out Hydra, because that's hard to target. And we just have all the rare 4 and 5 drops. I don't know. What can you do? I wonder what I should do, if I should grow this Hydra or not. Oh, he's going to target Sylvan anyway. If he targeted the Hydra, it would be an interesting choice. Okay, so zombies? Maybe. We are dumping Crypt Breakers. And is there a removal spell to turn it on? Alright, so we've drawn all spells. Can we draw land on time? Just need 1 land. Well, I think we go for it. See, you can eat something with the Kalitas and make it a 5/6. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? Okay. But then I would still get to strike Liliana. So I guess we'll make that happen. Do I want to make him sacrifice a Crypt Breaker? And I guess it would still have 4 damage on it and would have to trade with the Hydra. And what? He gets a zombie, but his Kalitas is gone? So yeah, we'll exert, we'll target here. He'll sack a crypt breaker. But if he wants to save Lily, he still has to trade with the hydra. Which I think is fine, because it gets Kalitas off the board and leaves him with a crypt breaker and 1 zombie. But let's see if he wants to make that trade. If he doesn't, he loses Liliana. Okay, no trade. Alright. Interesting. I think it's really tempting there to preserve Liliana, because then you can tick it down and get Kalitas back, but then you have to put the work back into it. Interesting. Okay, so now we've got to watch it with that Liliana. He can flip it at will here, which is going to be a real pain. And we have a lot of cards in our hand still. So I do want to do double exert next turn. So what do I want to do this turn? I suppose aethersphere harvester and voltaic brawler gets my lifelink going. We don't have the land to pump the advocate, sadly. If I play Glorybringer and exert it and target here, he will sacrifice this crypt breaker to Kalitas and flip his Liliana. And we can't attack it from that spot. I could also just play a 5/5. That lets me discard the voltaic brawler to his Liliana if it flips. I wonder if we attack with hydra here. What can he do? He can just block and sack if he wants to do that route, so maybe that's not a good move. He definitely has a life total advantage. I think the worst card in my hand if I'm going to discard something to Liliana is the brawler. So playing the woodland wanderer just gives me another large body that's hard to go up against. So I think that's the play this turn. And no attacks, as we just try to figure out how to navigate Kalitas. What's the opponent want to do on end step? Make a zombie? Or flip Liliana? Make a zombie. Discarding Jace, so it's like all the mythics with a little bit of zombie flavor. The good news is if our opponent's low on cards in hand, Glorybringer becomes a sure thing. But this is a toughie. I don't know, what would you do with that turn? Did I play it wrong? Taps the island, makes another Zombo. Now he can eat a Zombo, but he has to eat a non-token Zombo to flip. So that would be the Crypt Breaker. He has to eat the Crypt Breaker. And he's not going to attack. And this means that we get to kill Kalitas with a double exert, which I think we have to. If we leave him on the battlefield, let's see, what's he going to do? I guess in response, if he wants to, he can eat this Crypt Breaker and flip this, but I don't know if he wants to. Alright, and I can also attack with the Woodland Wanderer here. He doesn't have a good trade for it. Not unless he wants to lose Liliana, and I have another. So that's fine. Alright, so exert, exert, confirm. Yep. I mean, you can eat a zombie. Kinda hope you do. And of course, if he eats Breaker, he has a Planeswalker. But he has a bad board to protect it. Anybody have a better idea than this? I'd love to know. Okay, he's gonna go flip. I mean, he's not gonna have much board after that. So I don't love it. But I guess he can triple block the Woodland Wanderer. That's fine with me too. Because that's, like I said, that's his whole board. That's all he's got. I got more Woodland Wanderers. Okay. So I guess he's hoping to draw Languish, something like that. And if he plays that in his kind of zombies with mythics deck, I'll be blown away. Screeching Scab, now that's not a card I expected. And he mills away another mythic. And now I'm sure Liliana's going to go up. Nope, goes down. Fetches back a Crypt Breaker. Okay, so now he can draw cards. That's the plan. A land would be nice. It would let me pump my Advocate. I wouldn't do that right now. Oh my gosh, he just left himself totally naked. He got naked on stage. Why'd he do it right then? Could have done some blocks, or at least threatened them. Alright. Boom, 4/5. Liliana's gonna die, he's gonna take 4. I guess I don't have to kill Liliana. If I make him take 8, he's dead from a ton of angles next turn. And what's the best follow-up? Probably one... Well, I think something in the air that doesn't die to a sweeper. So this is a good follow-up. And this is a good follow-up because of trample. So that's what we'll play after combat. Alrighty. You get to keep Liliana. Let's do damage. Go for the head. I would probably play out the 2 energy cards to be able to double buff the Hydra. I like your line, and I think your opponent is tilting. Yeah, having the energy to double buff Hydra also gets it through the sweeper, so... And it has the added benefits of what I mentioned, like you get a flyer and you get a trampler, so a little bit of evasion if the opponent doesn't wipe your board. What's the record for this deck? 0-0. Another Scab. Such a low impact card. It's like there's so many good cards in this deck, and then you have that card. I guess fill in a role. And there is a zombie pumper. And getting back a Crypt Breaker, I'm sure. So he's got this whole thing on the ground, but that doesn't help you in the sky. Draw some cards, why not? If the cards you're going to draw are, like, you know, 2/1 zombies, it's not that scary to have them drawing a bunch of cards. But we'll probably play some zombie decks as well and see if we can do better or if our efforts are just lead us to the same place. So they tapped everything. No reason to mess around. And bam, attack for 20. Wonder if the opponent knows they can do that at instant speed. I hope so. They were rank 40. If they don't know that stuff at this point, I don't know what to do with your rank. All right. So we got through a turn 3 Liliana, turn 4 Kalitas. That's pretty cool, right? I mean, that's a worthy game. And we had nothing on the battlefield before when that Liliana came down. So it's not like we ran it over. That's a worthy opponent. Hello again, Daniel. I'm also a Daniel. Daniel is also my name. Thanks for joining me on a Friday night for some Friday Night Magic. We're playing Lucas H. Christ. It's a name. And our hand has all our colors. It doesn't have double red or double green. But everything makes blue, which is kind of our off color. But I can't turn this away. All the creatures are good. And we gotta start with the falls so that we can play one of these next turn. Cub is probably the most likely on the play. Cards that would talk me out of it are Goblin Arsonist. It's perfectly fine to call me CGB. It's just my other name, and the other part of my life happens to be Daniel. So we'll get this down, hopefully get to crack in with it once and make some energy if the opponent doesn't have a turn 2 play that matches up. It is a rootbound crag, so a red-green deck. Maybe our opponent does have a Harness Lightning and they're just taking their time with it, but let's test it. Also, let's beware of fog, because that happens too. Alright, we got our hit in. Dun 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 dun. Fumerole tapped. Sylvan Advocate to the battlefield. The team is coming together. Team energy. Team green stuff. Here comes a Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. Well, we don't really want to let that live, but we'll first test our opponent's resolve by attacking into it and seeing if they try to block. Okie dokie. Now the question is, do we care? Do I care if this Chandra lives? If the opponent does play like 2 more red spells and manages to flip this Chandra, can we just run over there and kill it? We have a board presence, our opponent does not. If they have like a Hungry Flames, all they do is kill the Advocate. They can't attack through the Advocate yet. Seems like a decent play to put out the Caravan or the Brawler. And I suppose Caravan's the biggest upside because it also makes mana, or Tireless can make it attack. So I'm going to do that, and we're going to see what our opponent can do to punish us with this Chandra. Can they get it flipped, and if they flip it, will it live? Because it's not like our opponent's had an aggressive start. I'm not scared of a few pings from Chandra. And they are passing the turn. What is going on? Alright. Now what do? I kind of smell a rat, you know? Something's wrong. So I want to leave this Harness Lightning up. And if I'm going to leave it up, I want to also be able to play a 2-drop. So I think the best 2-drop is Cultivator to turn on more of my hand. So I don't want to attack with the Caravan, and I want to attack with these two and hold this up in case of a pump spell or shenanigans. Alright, that's the plan. Get in there. Are the Oath cards in your deck? You'll have to tell me what you mean by the Oath cards. Cards from Oath of the Gatewatch, or cards like Oath of Nissa, things like that. I believe that Sylvan Advocate's an Oath of the Gatewatch card. Here's a block. Here's a pause. Here's a damage to my face. Here's a Titanic Growth. Okay, so there it goes. What can we do? I guess we can do 7 with this lightning, so it can survive another Titanic Growth. So that's what we'll do. There's a pause. Will it be another Titanic Growth? A Blossoming Defense would be a bit heartbreaking, but we can survive most things. So 2 energy away. We'll take 1 from the Chandra, but otherwise everything else is intact, and they lost their only creature. Is it time to pump this cub? I'll pump once. And they pause me. I want to leave 3 energy in the tank at least a bit. No! 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 We got fogged. We got fogged again. We got fogged again, everybody. Why? All the time. It's the meta. It's the fog meta. Why am I not running more insults in every deck? Every deck should splash red for insult. We have to get past this fogness. It's just not acceptable anymore. How can we claim to have a legitimate magic channel when all that happens is we get fogged out of the game again and again and again? Alrighty. Hydra to the rescue. That's enough to make our cub big enough to run right through that creature. What are you? You don't see this card often. Embodiment of Insight. 4/4 Vigilance. Land creatures have Vigilance landfall. You get a 3/3 Vigilance. Alright. Brunella should be in deck. What are you talking about? This deck doesn't have white. But, I mean, I have a deck that does. That will come along someday. What's it gonna be? Gonna be damage. Let's get another pumps in here. Again, we'll save some for the Hydra, but we'll keep growing our cub. Down to 5. Your move. Make it a good one. There's the Sage. Sage will draw our opponent a card. Power and toughness equal the cards in their hand. And the Embodiment of Insight's about to go off for Lucas. Lucas H. Christ, that is. And he targets a tapped land. Now, you're supposed to target the untapped one. If you target the untapped one, you get an attack, because it has haste. There is a hub. So how dead is my opponent? If they block the 5/5 and the 4/4, they take lethal. And they did not leave up fog mana. So this should be in the bank. Okay. Let's see, so he blocks there, he blocks there. I guess he could have a bolt and live, right? No, he can't. Okay, he concedes. I was thinking about giving him gold, but he left. All right, we accept. There's probably a red fog. There just has to be, right? I mean, it's... Playing around 1 green mana all the time is a lot of work. I get exhausted. Hence the yawn. All right. What's up, Lily? Lily's on some throne, hanging out in very messed up palace. Looks like Barad-dûr. Or the Tower of Sir Thungal. And here we go. Alien Dark One, 85. It's got a 34 rank, so should have some chops. Black low sleeves, so you know he's pro. This hand is not very good, but I think we'll keep it. We're only the right land or two away from being fine, and we've got a pair of drops while we wait for it. But this could go south. I think it's better than a 6, though, on the draw, or on the play, I mean. That's not what we need. Go get pushed. Does not get pushed? Okay. What you got on turn 2? Grasp of Darkness? I'm just always expecting all the removal. Ah, Wayward Servant. I wonder if he wants to block. I'm sure he does. Like, you block for sure in this pairing, right? Ah, that's not the land. But if we can hold out for 1 turn, we might still get to attack with our cub. So I'm not going to offer the trade, and I'm going to keep my desire for red mana as a secret. But this will be an interesting match. Looks like black-white zombies. Our plan is to get on the board. His plan is to get on the board. Good times. Does he attack? Nope. All right. All basics. Not ideal. There's a harvester. Well, that can get us up and over with the cub. Part of me just wants to lay the harvester and hold off on cutting this. It does get the energy rolling. I don't know. It's kind of tough. I've only got one removal spell. I have to use it well. It's easy to think it should be this creature until it's something else. Like if he plays Kalitas next turn, that's a much higher priority. So I'm going to go this route. Holy day. Ah, yes. Darkness. Yes, there are fogs in a lot of colors that aren't red. Safe passage. Yep. Commencement of festivities. That one's still in this game, but for some reason never gets the fog love. Yeah, I have a feeling we're both going to build boards and have a standoff until somebody can just overpower the other. Zombies is good at that. My deck, not great. If he's passing here, though, I'm guessing they're... Ooh, attacks. Oh my. What is happening? Time to reflect, I'm sure. Time to reflect makes sense. I think I'll just take the damage, really. Or... I can just block like this, and then nothing dies. See what my opponent does. But nah, I'll just take this damage. No reason to play into a time to reflect. Now if our opponent plays a blocker, just one blocker, we can cut it and... Oh, okay. So it's going to be a removal spell of some kind. So there's no reason to run my harvester into that. So let's attack. And it looks like my opponent's happy to flinch first. Or not. I'm happy to crush their turn. I'm sure they'll target something here at the end of turn. No? So I just took their whole turn from them? I can deal with that. No problem. Oh, the clash cards. Oh god, Pollen Lullaby. Too much variance for my blood. See, that whole turn cycle was weird. I'm pretty sure our opponent had a removal spell and wanted to hit the harvester, but we didn't give him the chance. So they ended up not using the removal spell and doing nothing with their mana, and we built our board. And now Kalitas is here. So things are about to get real, but I'm glad we held on. I did mention that card specifically, didn't I? Away with you. And now, since I'm concerned about time to reflect, I should just attack over the top. Although now I turn on Fatal Push, but my opponent didn't have Fatal Push before. What's the worst blocker? You are. And we'll see. I did turn on their Fatal Push, so that could have been a mistake. But he didn't have it early. And it looks like they are still without Fatal Push. So I'm definitely putting him on time to reflect. Inoketra's name is also a possibility, but time to reflect seems a lot worse for me. And a lot more, like, automatically included in zombies. Here comes a festering mummy. Will there be an attack? Nope. So my opponent now has decided that they're going to use this time to reflect on a block, which I do not have to acknowledge. I can chill. I can totally chill and keep building my board while they try to find a window to use that spell. Alright, and yeah, I'm not going to attack into anything. My opponent could also have Anguish Unmaking. Well, Anguish Unmaking isn't it, so I'm guessing like the other possibility is Murder that could take out the Harvester. But just throwing it into open mana is probably not smart. Surely they have something, and they're trying to figure out how to hit the Harvester with it, and we are not giving them the chance. We're saying, no. No, you do not take my Harvester. It's my Harvester. Deep in thought on the other side is our Zombo player, Zombo Mummy. Hopefully this game's a good example of when and where to use your removal spell against zombies. If you just snap it off at the first thing that looks threatening, like this or this, you allow something like a Kalitas or a Diregraph Colossus or something, a Crypt Breaker, to take over the game. So there's never on the tracker, I'm guessing. So do I need to activate? Grasp of Darkness isn't a fear. I don't have to block with it, but I can at least dissuade an attack, so I can do this. I think that's okay, but we'll find out. Since my opponent could take the track of giving his zombies menace, although I don't think that would be the greatest. The counter offensive is becoming rough. Festering Mummy. But now I'm thinking Grasp of Darkness. And the Lord. Okay. How about this? How about we pile up with creatures that can kill it? And we take 2. So if he has time to reflect or Grasp of Darkness, his Lord still dies. I guess we can put this there too. No, then that gets time to reflected. Okay, we'll block like that. I don't know if he expected that to happen. Kind of weird to leave the servant back. Here's the pause. Something's going to get exiled, I'm sure. Probably the cub, so that he can have a 1-for-1 trade. Timer running. They're having a big thought process in this game. Our zombie player really trying to get it right. But they've run their clock completely down. Now they've run their timer completely down. And they're going to run their second pause. And there's time to reflect on the cub. And we didn't use energy, so that's fine. And now we trade that with the Lord. And now our board is a lot better than our opponent's. So things worked out. Let's crack this first. What are we going to crack with? We can tap the blue and tap a red. I'm trying to anyway. Getting either some sinking or something's up with our opponent. Okay, there we go. Another land is excellent. Turns on Glorybringer and Bristling Hydra and gets us closer to a Deep Fiend. Also gets us closer to an Advocate. There's our cub. Time to reflect is not currently open, so we can attack with these. It's clear the opponent was not prepared that we would play around a card like Time to Reflect, but that is the kind of thing you want to do when your opponent is making attacks that don't make much sense otherwise. Mortivore, it's 107 degrees outside. I was freezing my ass off in my bedroom. Well, somebody's gonna have an AC bill. There is an anguish unmaking from the opponent, but that drops him to 7, and the damage is definitely done by the harvester. Also, they really should have held that, because they're about to meet the glory. Now, if they have a Grasp of Darkness, that's really good. Is it worth playing around? Because I think we just win? No, we don't just win. Our opponent can block the cub. Grasp of Darkness, what are the chances? And what are the chances of catching them tapped out later? Probably not great. But at the same time, I don't care much about these creatures. The only way they're effective, though, is with a gang block. But that's still not a block I want to give my opponent, so we'll bring the glory. And am I allowed to exert? I am. Off with that thing. Gotta block the cub. Does block the cub. Down to 1. Festering mummy. Staying alive. We gotta pump so that our cub doesn't die. Had to wait till it was targeted there. And now's the moment. Does the black-white mummy zombie deck have anything else up its sleeve? It is Liliana's Mastery. That is the 5-drop. And that can buy another turn if we don't draw something to deal with those, but any blue source will do it. That's not a blue source. Alright. Not only that, our attacks aren't good. Alright, well, I'll just let Glorybringer untap and hopefully finish the job. And we'll play Hydra and say go. Nice query, Shard. MTG bot apparently has those skills as well. Who would have known? I don't know these things. That's pretty funny. It converted Fahrenheit to Celsius for the non-Americans. With the whole rest of the world, everywhere else. Crit Breaker says, draw a card. Looking for that languish. I mean, you're at 1, dude. Are you gonna die on your own sword? Will it be? Victory. Opponent took themselves down with Crit Breaker. Bam, bam. All right. Well, that was an interesting game. And a lesson on why Time to Reflect is not the greatest removal spell. If the opponent sniffs it out, you rarely hit what you're aiming for. Harvester really carried that game, as it often does. Big life-linking creatures at low cost, with abilities like Harvester and Kalitas, they can really carry aggro matchups. All the right mana, but only 2 active cards. I think I have to try for better. And this is all tapped lands, and on the draw could be way too slow, but I think I have to keep it and hope for the best. This could get to be a mess. Alright, well, at least that's something we can play a turn earlier. It's our first appearance of Rogue Refiner, a card I very much love playing with. And we got a Fury Blade in a blue-red. What is going on? Well, I'm already excited to see what the heck comes out of this deck. Drakehaven? Tapland, Tapland. Meh. And here comes Storm Chaser Mage. Alright, it's a beatdown deck. This is about to get real. Will it be a Fiery Temper for the nut draw? It is. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is gonna sting. We got a tough one. We got a tough one. This deck is bringing the pain. So time to focus up, and my hand is slow with no removal. The recipe for failure. Alright. Gotta think this through. And dump a Rogue Refiner. Next turn, dump another Rogue Refiner. We can play Sylvan Advocate and play another tap land. If we do that, we can untap and play Caravan and no other 2-drop, so that's not great. And we just need to get to a place where we have one of these out and can use this, or we can cast one of these. So I could play this turn and play this next turn and just have a big brick wall. But I think I have to draw removal because I don't have anything in the air or an aethersphere harvester, so I think we've got to do the refining. Could be a mistake. This is a tough one where it's really not clear which way to go. But I know that my hand right now isn't good for the matchup. Drawing cards might make it better. It also may not. But we're in a rough spot. There's no doubt about it. A removal spell here just puts our back on the wall. Oh, that's bad. Oh, okay. What's happening? Maybe there's something else going on? I thought for sure it would target the Fury Blade. Maybe he's not planning on discarding to it. That would be a reprieve, and it is. It is a reprieve. Our opponent likes their hand. But they aren't able to turn up the heat as high as I think they should want to. How's Fury Blade is new to me in particular. Alright, well, that's a deep fiend. That buys me a little time. Gets me a 5/6. I mean, we're at 8. Stop listening. I freaking hate the voice recognition on this thing. What a mess. I may not see another turn if I don't emerge. But if I do, I'm just back where I started. Sort of. So I think I just have to find ways to turn up the pressure and play very risky. Yeah, I just have to play very risky and kind of counter race, which may be a terrible idea. Put this out there. And then if we get crack in with it next turn and then emerge the next turn, if our opponent doesn't kill us this turn and we get to attack next turn and then emerge, we can win the game. Slip through space. Lethal? Yeah, that's lethal. Oh well. I don't think I could win. I just don't think I could win playing the other way. I guess it depends on the top of my deck, but even if it were like the best card I could draw is Barals Expertise, that wouldn't do the job. So we take a loss. Our hand was too slow and we went up against a fast deck. That is the recipe. That is the recipe. You keep a slow hand, they play a fast draw. All right, let's give it another better try as we put our back against the wall. If we lose again, we're out. If we win 2 more, we stay alive. But yeah, man, Fury Blade. If your opponent has no removal, there's no shame in Fury Blade. Basically a 4/2 trample every turn you want one for 2 mana. Excellent. But and the Fiery Temper into Storm Chaser Mage, just like it's God. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Before I even had a non-land permanent on the field, I took, how much is that? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that turn. Bang, bang. Pew, 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 pew. Hopefully we get a rematch. I would love a rematch. Nope. Instead, we have to take out our frustration on a hundo stack. Oh, life's not fair. And here we are. If we had one basic land, this would all be untapped, but we do not. What do you put in your hundo stack? What don't you put in your hundo stack? Yep, cultivate. See what you got. Okay. Angelic Destiny. Cruel Reality. Somebody has plans. Oh my lord. Get excited. What kind of a madman or woman fetches Cruel Reality on turn 3 with a Heliod's Pilgrim? What kind of insanity would drive someone to these lengths? Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. If I lose to Cruel Reality, somebody will have to call up Nighthawk and tell him what happened. I'll just wake him up in the middle of the night in England, like, dude, no. Oh, I believe they are the ones now facing a Cruel Reality. You just can't cast that card. I could bring Glory, but I don't think that's right this turn into open mana. It just doesn't seem like... Seems like that's asking for murder. I think there's a better use of Glorybringer. Yep, only a fat stack seal. That's right. It's what we do here. We club them because they won't club themselves. Well, actually, sometimes... I've seen them club themselves. All right, now we're moving to discard. We have a concession. At least we didn't discard Cruel Reality, and it's Leaving the Dust is the discard. Okay. Well, let's get into the air. But I'm not. It's not even worth exerting myself. I will go tramps, though. I always think the cops have taken Nighthawk when I haven't seen him in a while. Because of all the sirens. Dude, the guy must live in the most dangerous part of town. I don't know, man. He can't record without sirens going by. I guess he could just live right by the station. That would explain it. Alright, power up. Let's end this. And the Cruel Reality. Speaking absolutely, the card itself is the definition of Cruel Reality. Our opponent had to discard it to hand size after missing lands. Yeah, I know, free win, but not the bounce back we wanted. Maybe this next one will be a little tougher. Step 1, fetch Cruel Reality. Step 2, discard it. Yep. Step 3, get it back with Auramancer. Step 4, discard it. If we, you know, let him live, of course. Hundo stack, shocked it missed some land drops. How optimistic is it with no other lands in your hand to turn 3 fetch Cruel Reality? Maybe if you draw 4 lands in a row from your Hundo stack, you can just curve right into it, right? Oh my lord. Okay, Space Donkey. Got a rank 32. Doesn't have custom sleeves, so maybe overhyped, but hopefully they bring us a challenging battle. This curve is decent. I'm on the play. Things should go well. Let's find out. And Toolcraft right out of the gate. Well, that's a good card. Perhaps we shall have a battle on our hands. A battle of wits? No, that's a whole different battle. Search card battle of wits if you want to get my joke. It's not that funny. It's probably not worth it, to be honest. Alright, what do you got? Is it going to be a copter? Is this going to be a classic type of face-off? And an implement of improvement. That's not how I would probably roll to get my toolcraft turned on. Interesting. It's 5 cards to 5, 6 if we count the implement. I'm going to have a harder time racing him because he's got some life gain. And this could improve. It could have first strike if my opponent plays more artifacts. An interesting offer. I think I will accept. Yeah, interesting offer. And we'll see if it pays off or if it was a mistake. All right, caravan to the field. It's hard to tell much about my opponent's deck from turn 1 Toolcraft, turn 2 Implement, but I think I'll go bigger than they will in the long run. There's only one way to find out. There's a Harvester. So I'm definitely glad I'm not trying to race now that there's a Harvester on the field. Alright. Well, that's a good card to draw when there's a Harvester on a field. So I think it's got to be this. There we go. Crack with Caravan. Just start hitting hard. Hard and relentless. We could have made a 6/6 by tapping the Caravan, but I don't want to get 1 more point of power and toughness at the expense of 5 damage. So I think that's pretty clearly the right play in that situation. Let's see what the opponent has to go with this Harvester. Is it going to be Saram's expertise and shenanigans? Ooh, Kalitas. This is a Lone Rider deck, clearly. It just hasn't had the Rider. Yep, getting aggro. It will put him back to 20, but we're going to knock him right back to 10. This is going to get interesting. And Harness Lightning's ready for Kalitas. Okay, so we'll hang on to that. Play this. Please draw me something good. That's pretty good. Do we want to play it, or do we want to harness lightning? I think we have to leave up harness lightning. We can't afford some kind of a Kalitas blowout. And we're not guaranteed to have a land next turn for the advocate. So let's watch our opponent try to set up something to get around the woodland wanderer, and then we can kill Kalitas in response. This is not a repeat broadcast. This is fresh stuff. I don't know what's going to happen. That's the definition of a repeat broadcast. Or the definition of not a repeat broadcast. Like this shit live, that's what I'm trying to say. Essence extraction, here we go. Alright, so in response, before you get a zombie. Ooh, he didn't activate his harvester. He did not activate the harvester. See if that comes back to bite him. He will gain some life though. But he does not, yeah, he didn't get a punch in with harvester that he could have had. And now we have a way to activate our caravan with the advocate. Shard, why does everyone ask if it's a repeat lately? Have you been running reruns without me noticing? There was a day where I turned on the vodcast, and I noticed when I came back there were a lot of comments that were like, that thought it was live when it was not live. So it's the vodcast feature now that's on Twitch. I just hit play and walked away, and then later people were like talking to me, and I wasn't replying because I wasn't there. Alright, servo schematic. Interesting. So I'm wondering how the artifact synergy all comes together. I saw toolcraft, but what else is there? Now we got an implement. Can you live? Can my opponent survive this turn? I guess they can. They can, but they're not going to try. Okay, let's watch the AI crew some vehicles. Oh, there's people here and no chat. Well, there you go. He's saying talk more. Hey man, there's 13 of us and I do a lot of talking for everyone, so I'm not mad that we've got some lurkers. There's nothing wrong with lurking. You guys can hang out. No pressure to talk. Alright, deploy the tracker. Through with a caravan. I can't see what's highlighted. There we go. And bring it, and that'll do it. Ta-da! Got there. Alright. So, 5 wins and a loss with Temur Energy. I wish I could have that loss back and play it same deck with a different hand. Love to learn more from that. But it was just one of those. Alright. So next up, what I'm going to switch to next time I play is going to be an angelic monument deck. It's going to be a blue-white monument deck, but it doesn't run Dusk to Dawn. Instead, it runs Brazella and a bunch of huge angels and stuff like that. So it's almost like a ramp deck that makes tokens as it ramps. That's next time on the CGB show. So for today, I'm going to log off. Thanks everybody for coming by. If you want to check out the videos I did earlier in the day, you're more than welcome to, and I'll catch you later.